You're listening to ayahuascapodcast.com.
The psychological healing doesn't come before spiritual healing because we're not psychological beings, we're spiritual beings who have psychological experience. We all have connection with the source energy, and that's a fact, and if we have connection to the source creative energy, we can create this version of reality within our system first, because this is the first mastering that we need to do. We need first to master our own personal system, learn to hold ourselves in space. And the other thing, I feel like it was a grace. It was divine grace. I really believe I was healed, It's not that something that Paulina did. It's not something that Paulina did. This is not Paulina's work. This is, higher powers work that Paulina has allowed, to work through her in order to kind of heal and to recalibrate and change, actually really change and accept.
This episode is sponsored by La Huayra Ayahuasca Retreat. At La Huayra, we combine affordability, accessibility, and authenticity. La Huayra, connect, heal, grow. Guys, I'm looking forward to hosting you. Hi guys, and welcome to Ayahuasca Podcast. As always, with you, the host, Sam Believ. Today I have a conversation with Pauli Kulikowska. She is a holistic therapist and the founder of the Healing Institute with over 15 years of experience in therapeutic work. She holds a master's degree in clinical psychology and is a certified yoga teacher, having completed 600 hours accredited by Yoga Alliance and 200 hours of Kundalini training. Her practice integrates Eastern and Western knowledge, utilizing a variety of tools such as yoga, psychology, and energy work to facilitate inner awakening and personal development. In this conversation with Pauli, we talk about her dealing with depression in teenage years, having a vision that guided her to ayahuasca, working with shamans in Putumayo, healing from a brain tumor without any surgery. We talk about importance of integration, understanding spiritual and psychological sides of healing. We talk about yoga as a tool for integration. We try and find parallels between Eastern and Amazonian traditions. We talk about self-love and more. Enjoy this episode. Pauli, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sam. Thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to be here.
Pauli, how did your life put you on this path of working with healing, working with plant medicines? Can you tell us your story?
Yeah, I can share it. It's a little bit long, so long story short, I was very depressed when I was a teenager, and I sought help. I went to psychotherapy, and I was it took 1 year and it wasn't giving any effects. I was just getting more and more depressed. It was getting worse and worse. And one day I had a dream, and it was very different from all the dreams I had before. It was very vivid, and I was in a jungle, and I was surrounded by 12 Indigenous women who were half naked. I don't know if it's relevant, but maybe it is. They were putting smoke on me with feathers. Now I understand the context, but back then, I was 18, 19, you can imagine like how weird it was. And I woke up with the words puras. I heard purasa, I didn't speak Spanish at the time, which was also very, I could say, weird for me. So I Googled what purasa mean, and I found that it means cleanse your thoughts. But I didn't understand why it happened, but around 2 weeks later, a friend of mine came to me and he said that he has brought access to something that works supposedly better than 5 years of psychotherapy, and that is ayahuasca. And I was never into drugs. That very important part. I was never into exploring any kind of these things, but when I heard it, I was like, I didn't know what it was. I was like, I know this is something this is it, So I cooked it, which was, 16 years ago. 16 years ago, I cooked ayahuasca, and my first ayahuasca experience was actually with me cooking medicine, which now I wouldn't ever recommend doing this for anyone, to be clear, but this is how my path unfolded, and this is how this experience went. And yeah, it opened up beautiful, beautiful paths. Then I went to Colombia. I studied with a shaman from Putumayo, uh, which was also very strong experience for me. I stayed with him on Dieta. And after that, I came back to Poland because this is where I come from originally. I don't live there anymore. And uh, and I met, it came out that I was sick. It came out after my trip to Colombia, after my dieta, it came out that I was sick. My period stopped for 10 months. I didn't know what was happening. I was gaining a lot of weight. I was sick. I was just sick, you know. And so we did a very, very thorough medical survey. What's wrong with me? You know, I had all these medical checkups, and it came out that I had a brain tumor in my pituitary gland, which is not, it wasn't malicious, but it demanded surgery. But at the time in Poland, I would have to wait like around 1 year for a surgery. And in Colombia, I already met people, thanks to the medicine work and plant medicine, have gone out of. I saw stories of cancer healings, and you know, people who had trouble with walking, who were walking again. So I figured I have 1 year, so either there is something I can do myself, you know, with the tools that I have, and learning about the body, and about the stuff. Um, and this is how it all started. And after 1 year, I was clear. I didn't have a tumor. My period came back. It was a big journey, but it was just the beginning of something more, because later on I did a yoga training, and became a teacher, and also started to teach people these modalities, you know, these healing modalities that beautifully complement each other.
Interesting. So as you were waiting for your surgery, you did what I assume ayahuasca. What else did you do? And then it kind of went away. Can you tell us?
Yes, I basically completely changed my lifestyle from what I had before. I mean, it wasn't tragic, but still, you know, I changed my diet completely. Um, I started to do cleanses, dietas, you know, like the dieta I had in Colombia, but a different ones, like fasting, fasting, a lot of meditation, a lot of medicine, and yoga. Yoga was big thing, because one of the issues with the higher center in the brain is that there was like overstimulation of the energy. There was too much energy in my brain, so my body wasn't adapting fast enough. So I needed to introduce, or I understand it from the perspective of time, but this is what I felt. My nervous system needed to adapt body work in order to integrate the work that I did in Colombia, before Colombia, and then after Colombia as well, you know. So this is how it went. It was a combination of various things, a lot of self-inquiry, you know, healing my relationship with my femininity, because this was also related to this. And yes, in a shortcut. It was many years ago, but you know, and this is how it went.
So I mean, I can imagine that a story like this makes you a big believer in the power of plant medicines and all those modalities, and this is how you stepped on this path to from healing yourself to now healing others. So you talk about too much information, as in, is it kind of integration process that you went through with yoga, or what is it? Can you talk to us about it?
It's the integration on the level of you know, nervous system, on the also cellular level, because medicine gives us access to all these dimensions, and you know, we see information. I saw a lot of info about my past lives and stuff like this, you know, all this about why I'm here, why did I meet medicine this early in my life, why the first medicine I had to cook, and why it happened like this, you know. Everything was revealed at that time to me. I didn't believe in it. because I think there was a part of me that didn't fully believe that, a person like a woman from Eastern Europe could actually be called to do this work as well, because I was putting shaman and particularly male figures on the very high pedestal in the midst of this work. And medicine kind of explained that there is needed more balance, more feminine approach, more gentle approach with more gentle medicine work, with proper preparation to do it, with adapting the body first, with solving the emotional issues, kind of the first layer before we even introduce the medicine, to do the work that she can do. So yes, yoga, definitely meditation, but yoga I see as part of meditation practice is needed, because also I met in my history with medicine. I went through various communities and met a lot of people, and I met people who live from ceremony to ceremony and nothing changes in their life. They just introduce the medicine, and they say they're sitting in the light, and basically they're still addicted to alcohol. That the relationships are shit. Sorry for saying that, but it's like nothing is changing. Communication is not changing. The relationship with themselves is not changing. Um, so ayahuasca showed me on a very deep level how important it is to do the homework, to do what she says. When she says there is a guidance, you have to do the homework in your daily life, build your practice, build your discipline, and actually, be what you are in the means also of what you preach you are. You know what I mean? It's like be integral in this. So yeah, this is how it was. And yeah, that's like I don't know if this is a moment, but I wanted maybe to add I had a huge problem internally with facilitating medicine, because of the fact that I understand the context where it is coming from, that this knowledge, this sacred relationship with earth, with plants, was carried by people, by indigenous people. They paid tremendous price for it, and now we white people coming there and we are claiming like this is something that we can do. And I had a huge conflict with that, but medicine also showed me that.
I've met many people like this myself, where they come to ceremony and another ceremony, and they seem to never change. And it's a trap for all of us. I've been there myself as well. What I do like about ayahuasca is that sometimes it can also show you not to do it. And I've had experiences where once I came to ceremony too soon, and it was like, "Why are you back so soon? I gave you homework," and then it kind of punished me a little bit. So that's the beauty of this medicine. It's kind of self-governing. And you mentioned feminine. I've had some great experiences with maimas, which are female shamans here in Colombia. And yeah, some of my very profound experiences were with female shamans. So I think there's beauty in that. Actually, I've been in the ceremony once where both the husband and the wife, they were both shamans, so Maima and Taita, and it was like it was a ceremony where I had one of my biggest sort of breakthroughs. And it has to do with healing, so I'll share it later, and maybe you can give me your opinion. But yeah, there's definitely space for. I don't think medicine really cares about gender that much. It's if you have it, and also I'm also Eastern European, so it's also strange for me. There's gonna be this imposter syndrome always, like, why am I here in Colombia running arguably one of the biggest ayahuasca retreats in Colombia when I'm not even Colombian? But it's like I've been called to it, and somehow synchronistically ended up here. So once again, I think medicine also doesn't care where you're from. There's there's more than that. So when you describe, healing work, and obviously you have your approach to it, what do you think happened to you when you healed your tumor? What is the healing process? How does mental heal physical? Like, what is your understanding? Obviously, you have a perspective from both Eastern tradition, the Amazonian tradition. How does one heal physically?
I think all comes up to really integrating that we are that the psychological healing doesn't come before spiritual healing, because we're not psychological beings, we're spiritual beings who have psychological experience. So this was the biggest shift in my experience, and this has kind of uh, gave me this access to this power that we all have. It's like we all have connection with the source energy, and that's a fact, and if we have connection to the source creative energy, we can create this version of reality within our system first, because this is the first mastering that we need to do. We need first to master our own personal system, learn to hold ourselves in space. And this is one thing, and the other thing, I feel like it was a grace. It was divine grace. I really believe I was healed. It's not that something that Paulina did. It's not something that Paulina did. This is not Paulina's work. This is, higher powers work that Paulina has allowed, to work through her in order to kind of heal and to recalibrate and change, actually really change and accept the work that I am here to do. I don't want to talk about myself in the third person, but this is how it is right now, and this is how it's growing more even in my life, because the healing, from my perspective, never ends. It's like I'm, awakening gets more and more sublime, and we are getting to these new levels of awareness. Um, and as we gain awareness and consciousness within certain dimensions of our existence, we are able to actually be that, realize ourselves as that. And now, for example, my path has led me to Tantra, and through Tantra, I'm exploring, a complete, I won't mention traditional Tantra, not the Western Tantra where, it's sexualized, but the traditional Tantra with, um, big practice with energy forms, with debatas, it's called debatas. And, we need to kind of know our place in all this. I love the Lakota approach to this is like the humans are the most and should be the most humble of divine creations, because we were created the last, uh, and this is what healed me, in a way. Also this humility, realizing this is not me doing this work, this is divine's work. So this is how I would explain it. But it's multidimensional. It took a lot of time, really. It wasn't just 1 year. After 1 year, I didn't have tumor, but I still had issues. There were still issues to deal with. It's not like, oh, wow, now after 1 year, you can do this. No, it took many, many years. I'm doing this 15 years already. And I'm saying that it's still ongoing work. It's never ending work. And yes, so this is how it goes. Yeah, sure.
Obviously, you have a healing institute, right, where you, I assume, teach people how to heal. But also you described that the healing is a mostly first person project. Like you have to heal yourself. So how does what is the job of healer in that case, and what is the job of plant medicines in that case? Like how do I'm trying to like create a succinct picture of how, like, let's say somebody was listening to this episode and they're sick physically. Walk them through how to not be sick anymore.
Wow, that's a task I wouldn't even, dare to take, because there is no one solution for one person. And this is also one of the approaches that we have in Healing Institute. The Healing Institute is a space which aims to connect various modalities and techniques and integrate the Western with the Eastern or the Indigenous as well, because we're creating a space or a table where everyone can sit and where everyone's voice can be heard, and where everyone can be heard, for who they are, with the knowledge, with the wisdom they're carrying, even if it's not realized yet, because people come, whom I work with, those are beautiful beings who have tremendous potential, and they have a voice, healing voice as well. Um, so the aim of, as I said, the aim of Healing Institute is to create a safe space for self growth we are teaching tools, we are teaching ethics. This is very important. The first thing, and it doesn't matter really which modality, which healing modality, whether it's yoga, tantra, whether it's some other, like Reiki or plant medicine. Like, it's very important to have this core of ethical conduct, because it's very easy to get lost, from my perspective, especially when you start to do this not completely material work. You know what I mean? It's not like it's something that is tangible in the means of you're making a table. You're not making a table. You're working with a human being, with energetical system of human being, with psyche of human being, with spirit of another person. So it's a huge responsibility. And we need to kind of learn to kind of train our mind to find the correct alignment. So this is what we're teaching. We're teaching energy hygiene, we're teaching tools, we're teaching ethics, and now we're aiming to, and this is the actually next year goal, we're aiming to connect with the plant medicine retreats. We already have contacts, but we want to make projects connecting, organizing retreats for people who want to go to the Amazon, or to indigenous communities, whether it is in America, South America, or in India as well, because there is a tremendous wisdom here as well. Um, and this is what we want to do. We want to connect everything into this beautiful, like, so that's why we're doing it, because there is no one way for one person. Everyone will need something else, a little bit different approach. General rule, the first rule, but this is just a rule of Ayurveda, is like, when something is wrong, look at your food. Look at what you're eating, look at your consumption. This is the first rule for everyone, no matter what is Ayurveda says. Start with food. So start with what you are actually ingesting in your system. So this is the only thing I could recommend to anyone, really.
Yeah. You're hypocrite Hippocrates said, your let your food be your medicine, and let your medicine be your food, or something like that. I mean, that's a notable goal, trying to bridge those gaps and bring, Western knowledge together with Eastern knowledge and together with the indigenous knowledge. We're kind of at it as well, except for, I mean, we run ayahuasca retreats, so it's very indigenous, and we're part of a tradition, an indigenous tradition. That's just kind of our core. And then we have integration circles, or we have integration coach and therapies, and we talk about shadow work and stuff like that, which is kind of a Western approach. And then we do yoga and meditation, which is Eastern. So it's like that we're also trying to find our way to make it all balance out, obviously with the big focus being on ayahuasca, because I do believe that if you come to ayahuasca with your health issues, it will probably show you what, you say it's different for everyone. It might show you what you need. If you're really ready to listen, it will show you. um, what I want to ask you, so you mentioned Reiki and Tantra. I'm very interested in all those topics, and I was not at all before I started working with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca was the door for me to all those possibilities. I used to believe in nothing. I'm an engineer by trade. I was very non-religious, very non-spiritual. But now I've seen some stuff, and specifically in my case, that journey that I described with the female shaman and her husband, ayahuasca. I was just looking how to not be depressed, and that's why I was drinking ayahuasca. I was just from a very sort of scientific point of view, well, yeah, it's going to come into my body, and it's going to give me more neuroflexibility and increase my BDNF, and then I'll be not depressed anymore. Like, that makes total sense. And then it was like boom, and it showed me like how universe works and all this crazy stuff. And one of the things the medicine showed me was that I am a healer, and it was like very uncomfortable to me, because I've not ever thought about this, and it was just weird. It was just like, what are you talking about? I'm here to heal my depression. I don't want to be a shaman. I mean, like, a lot of people do, but I was like, that's not what I want. So I resisted somewhat till this day. However, it just keeps showing me more and more. And even my very last ceremony was he was kind of showing me that again, and I was with having a moment with my wife where she's going through something, and medicine was showing me how to sort of synchronize her. And it's like words cannot describe what that process is like, but it does still keeps happening to me. And then I had this connection with my shaman, which I noticed, and he also noticed, and we talked after it later. So it's all real, basically. All the craziness, all the energy stuff is real. I'm still resisting it. But let's say, how does one go about that? I've been told by medicine I'm a healer, like, and I've been told by all the shamans since then that, well, if you want to learn, you just need to drink more medicine, which I've been doing. And but let's say somebody is a healer, energetical healer or something like that. What do they do to hone that craft? Because obviously there's not a university you can go to.
Yeah, the thing is, from my perspective, I can totally relate to your story. Like this is, I feel you really with this resisting this healing part and the healing energy and the fact that you have access to this information, how to help people, what to do in a particular moment, but you're listening. That's the thing, you're listening, and I think this is the answer, really. Listen, just start listening, just if someone, because I know there are many people who don't feel good enough about themselves, about their, I don't know, corporate lives, now they meet medicine and suddenly they change their paths and they claim they're healers. Everyone is a healer. If- That's a fact. Everyone is a healer. Everyone has access to this energy, but not everyone is attuned to it. So I wouldn't say that the medicine path is for everyone. It is for you. You got your answers. Drink more medicine. This is your path. You're going through this path. You're learning through this. It's extremely challenging path. People think drinking medicine is super pleasant. No, it's super challenging path. So I admire deeply you for doing this and following it, following your calling, because I can imagine also with moving to Colombia and opening a retreat center, it can't be really easy. Um, but I would say the path of learning would be different for everyone. But what is important from my perspective, for everyone, is to develop a personal practice, some kind of personal meditational, body mind practice, and start to pray, connect, manifest. You call it how you call it, for guidance, because I'm saying that for everyone with whom I'm working and now as well, there is no one path. All the paths lead to, are led by this universal energy, and there is one path is not better than the other. So I would say pray for guidance and do your practice. This is two things, connected, and the path will reveal itself because it has to. It has to. The universe responds to our energy, of course, according to our karma and all that stuff, but some spiritual teachers that even say that even reaching or claiming that, for healing energy or for God has to mean that we have worked for it, that there is like uh, a container of good deeds, yes, of certain level of consciousness that we have accumulated that is elevating us, and we can use this energy to elevate further with evolution, because this is the path of evolution, like basically, realizing uh, the healing. um, you're asking me very difficult questions, like there is no one answer for everyone, really, from my perspective.
Well, that's a compliment, because mm, you know that that's for your evolution, Pauli. Difficult questions make you evolve, make you think. Well, let's talk about something simpler. So, uh, you are a psychologist by trade. You went to university. So, what is how do plant medicines complement psychotherapy work and vice versa? What is your opinion on that?
hmm Okay, so I started to study psychology after. my encounter with medicine. And me studying psychology and being interested in this subject, or understanding that this is my area of natural expertise, because I understand systems easily and the mind is easy for me to understand in a way, the patterns that people have, has come through, also through medicine work. I mean, it didn't come on during the ceremony, but it came through after. And my understanding, the moment when I was making decision to go to study psychology and become a psychologist as well, was that there are a lot of people who claim, they know they want to be therapists and stuff, but they don't have actual background, background which is settled in science, in studies, and which would mean that for people who come with this skeptical mind, with skeptical mind, they wouldn't come to me potentially, even though I would be potentially good person for them to work with. You know what I mean? And this was my motivation, to open up doors for people who are more skeptical. I loved my psychological studies. I loved my university. Has allowed me. Of course, I wanted, as a master's thesis, I wanted to write about plant medicine, but it was not legal, so I couldn't do like an official study and stuff like this. So finally, I wrote about the influence of Kundalini yoga on our nervous system and the sense of happiness and self-efficacy and all that stuff I was measuring with my thesis. And psychology nowadays is different than it was even 10 years ago. It's developing so fast with neurobiology, with psychiatry, how it's changing, how this, as you mentioned, integration, psychedelic integration, how it has come into place. More and more psychological schools are introducing actually integration into their work worldwide, and I believe it is growing wave nowadays, and it will be growing still, because we need that. We need that connection, which is settled with understanding how the mind works in, like, with the science study, the illnesses or or the problems that people might have with their psyche, right? How it connects with psychedelics. There are a lot of studies, and I think Minds Institute is doing like a tremendous work in this way. How they are measuring all that stuff. How mushrooms. I think that this is the biggest area of their expertise, but I think they also explore ketamine and ayahuasca as well, right? Uh, so I feel my understanding is that it will be growing. It will be growing. It's already integrating. It's getting integrated into psychology. Mainstream, maybe not mainstream yet, but it's becoming mainstream.
So yeah, I think I was more looking into, if somebody does plant medicines, how it opens them up, and then, with the good therapy, they can kind of get results faster. And then I think the analogy that I like to use is, if healing process is digging a tunnel, then ayahuasca is like a dynamite, and integration work is like picks and shovels. So they're more precise, and you can make an explosion, remove, make another explosion, remove again, and kind of like this. But as opposed to, let's say, those people that you described that just keep drinking and keep coming back, that's just like explosion on top of the explosion. You can, like, your tunnel can collapse eventually, or it will be just very messy. So, but yeah, can you talk about that? Uh, what is the best way for someone to integrate?
Uh, again, from again, there is no one path for everyone. Some people will integrate better through mental work, and other people will integrate better through body work. Anyway, in both cases, I think in both cases, both approaches are very needed. So both psychotherapy, psychedelic integration, sharing circles after, monitoring the people after ceremonies, and being in touch, actually being in relationship with people who come to your ceremonies. or relation rather, right, to our ceremonies. This is one thing. But then the other thing, from my perspective, is very important: breath work. Breath work is tremendous way to integrate, and it is based on also yogic science and what I've been taught on teacher trainings, also on yoga and meditation courses, that pranayama as the breath extension, it is changing the energetics of the body. And if the plant medicines are getting us out of the density of our minds and are opening certain paths, right, whether spiritual or within our psyche, um, it's impossible to stay on that level of awareness. It's like opening, exploring, or as you said, putting a bomb, something, and it's just basically constant, very radical, and not necessarily healthy way of working. So from my perspective, breath work, pranayama, correctly facilitated and performed, regular practice of pranayama helps to integrate the work that medicine does as well. So this is something I don't. I'm not sure if many people talk about it. I haven't heard many people talking about it. I mean, there is this, like, this psychedelic breath and stuff, and shamanic breath and holotropic breathing, but it's not really about that. It doesn't have to be that radical. From my perspective, the pranayama or the practice of the breath retention, it can be very gentle, but it has to be regular. That's the whole point of it. It has to be regular because this is how our neural connections change. So we need discipline. We need discipline to integrate the work.
Is there any chance you could give a tiny little preview into what it means to people that listen? Is there any exercise they can do right now to feel that feeling?
I cannot give the exercise because I don't know the physiological state of people who are listening, and that will be irresponsible. I would love to, but I can't. The one pranayama that is safe for everyone, and everyone can do it, is called Nadi Shodhana, and it's balancing the hemispheres. And we do it first in stages. So the first stage is safe for everyone, no matter which condition, whether you're pregnant, old, young, whatever. We divide it into 5 parts. So 5-second inhale, 5-second stop, 5-second exhale, and we exchange the nostrils. So we start with the left nostril. Inhale. 4, 5. Stop for 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale through the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is 1 round. 2 sides is 1 round, right? And we do 20 rounds of this daily. And it takes around, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes.
Let me clarify it for people who are listening. So you put your hand on your nose, and at first you close your left nostril and you inhale for 5 seconds. You hold for 5 seconds. You exhale for 5 seconds. You hold for 5 seconds. Change nostrils. Inhale for 5 seconds. Hold for 5 seconds. Exhale 5 seconds. Hold 5 seconds. And you alternate. So basically 20 times each nostril or 40 times?
It makes total 40.
40. So 40 times each nostril.
Yes, but I want to clarify because you said hold after exhale. After exhale, you don't hold. This is like another stage of this pranayama, but I'm talking about the first stage, which is safe for everyone and which will give results to people. But you need to practice it for 3 to 6 months to start notice how your body is adapting to the cycles of nature, because this is what we're also disconnected from, right? From circadian cycles, from intradian cycles, from the menstrual cycles. This is something I can talk about also as well. As a woman who was disconnected.
I'm really disconnected from that one.
Well, I feel sorry for you. It's really cool experience.
No, but I do notice that us men, we also have some kind of monthly cycle, which there's no nothing physical happening, but definitely emotionally there's something. We all have cycles. We just maybe are not aware of them. So yeah, guys, try this exercise. Obviously, not while you're working or while you're driving. Just make sure you're safe. Because always breathing exercises, there's always a risk that you might, get lightheaded or faint and stuff like that. So don't do it if you're standing on the edge of a cliff. Um, can you, yeah, can you talk to us about what is energy business coaching?
Oh, this is something that we are opening up next year. This is the program I've been working on for 2 years, and we already had some people who went through the pilot, like a pilot, program. And this is the program which actually integrates the principles of ethical co-creating within community, giving back. Also, giving back. This is very important part of it. But we're also integrating tools like constellations and development of leadership for people who are or want to be in a leadership position. And so this is the program that we as institute will be offering to our people, or other companies who are open to kind of change their structure, or people who are starting their businesses. We worked with both, with people who are in corporate environments, with people who are starting their businesses, and with a team of the company. And like the results are amazing, because the thing is that when we align correctly, ourselves and our businesses and our relationships, and find our role within the system that we're working with or in, the nature is responding and also is supporting those people more financially in the means of abundance. This is coming, so it's using all those tools and techniques we've been learning and exploring throughout the years.
Cool. I do agree with that. That businesses also need more energetic element, and I really like the topic of conscious entrepreneurship. However, I think most most businesses or business owners are not really there yet to start seeing things this way. So, we have you noticed any? What is the interest? What is lack of interest? Like people like energy. Like what are you talking about? Like let's talk about bottom line. Profits and stuff like that. Or maybe that's my misconception.
Uh, but you know what? I agree with you that for the most part, people are not there yet. But when I started my work, in general, doing my work, and offering the service and stuff, wasn't a lot of interest at all. There weren't many people who were doing that. And now look at this. Everyone, everyone is a healer, basically, in the means of how they're portraying yourself. So this is also, unfortunately, from my perspective, unfortunately, a huge business. But a fact is that a business, as you said, needs this conscious touch. And there aren't many people, many companies interested, but there are more and more, because it's connected with CSR. And and that's a good wave within the consciousness of companies and people, that people are having and developing this understanding of social responsibility. And uh, and this is something that we are aiming towards within the social developing social responsibility, that this is the service that we're offering in response to that.
Cool. We had once an ayahuasca retreat where we had the board of directors of a company, and there were five of them. They came for a private retreat, and it was really really interesting. They got a lot from it. I can imagine, yeah, if we could get big companies to start making one retreat a year, it could make a lot, give a lot to them, and also to sort of group cohesion. If they're to make sure they're on the same path, because psychedelics. Also, it's not just about healing. It's also there's a big boost in creativity that happens through them. I know you like topic of self love. Can you tell us how does one love themselves?
Mm, the how That's a very good question. through awareness, through self-awareness. We love ourselves through self-awareness. This is the only path from my perspective. We can have all these tools, like Ho'oponopono, tapping, EFT, trauma release exercises, yoga, body work, even Tantra and all this stuff. But it's nothing without awareness, without self-awareness. Because all those tools are just tools at the end for developing self-awareness. If we are aware of who we are, there is not a possibility of not loving, of not loving ourselves, because this is our essence, and this is what we are aiming to connect to back. It's not like an activity. It's really loving ourselves. It's not an activity. It's an developing self-awareness of who we are.
And what's the best way to develop the self-awareness?
Again, we're coming back. There is no one way. There is no one way. But there is, again, I'm coming back. Practice is needed. Practice is needed. We've been conditioned so long for, through generations, and we carry generational trauma and the information about difficult stuff that happens to our ancestors as well, in the lines that where we are born in these families, in these lifetimes. And all this needs to be released. So we need practice. We need tools. We need plant medicine. From my perspective, it's not for everyone. Again, not for everyone, and not at every moment of their lives, for sure. I feel, especially when it comes to plant medicines and using them as a tool for developing self-awareness and self-love, I feel one has to have a calling to do it. Because I had experiences where people came to me, especially in the beginning. Now I'm working differently, but in the beginning of my work, when people were coming to my ceremonies out of curiosity, what is this ayahuasca? What is this thing? And she didn't work. She didn't work because the intelligence of the plant medicine is so tremendous that she won't, from my perspective, she won't allow the misuse in the long run, or not having the right mindset or the right intention. The other thing is that she could potentially work, or someone can get, some slaps and have very difficult experience, when they are not really approaching it with respect. And I feel this is the responsibility of facilitators to actually implement more respect to medicine before serving the medicine.
Yeah, I agree with that. The beauty of the medicine is that it is it has its own sort of mind, and we do notice that we have 4-day retreats, 1-week retreats, 11-day retreats, and 18-day retreats. And people who come for 4 days, generally they tend to be people. Not all of them, but there's always more people in those smaller groups, shorter retreats, where they just want to sort of cross that off their bucket list, this ayahuasca thing, and they come for curiosity. But because we create a container where it's like as ayahuasca can be used for healing. It can also be used for growth or spiritual exploration. There's just so much that you can do with it. Our container is set focusing on healing specifically, and then because let's say majority of the group are coming for this reason, to heal, then it kind of makes them thinking, and they start setting intentions and kind of realizing, yeah, maybe there is, through group sharing, they kind of realize that, yeah, there is something I could work on as well. So they then get this intention when they come to the ceremony. They understand it, and then they, maybe not that it doesn't work, but they see something, but maybe don't get to completion. And then a lot of people come back for 1 week, and they're like, yeah, now I know what it is. Because I think it's really hard to imagine, let's say you're from Eastern Europe as well, majority of people in Eastern Europe are pretty very high disconnected from spirituality. It's I mean, there's some religion still left, but it's mostly just a thing. It's not like a real spiritual practice. And I don't really see, for example, my dad. I don't really see him all of a sudden sitting down and starting to meditate. Like that seems like a absolute impossibility for me. However, I feel that if I could somehow get him to drink some ayahuasca, there may be this opening where he's like, oh, because it happened to me. I was never a spiritual guy. Never. I could never become one. It's just all of a sudden I got this curiosity about ayahuasca, this calling, and eventually I did it. And eventually it opened me up to now. I'm learning about Tantra and I'm learning about this and that. I'm a little bit afraid, I'm becoming a hippie, but, but in a good way. So it's like, I think one of the things plant medicine can do is that big explosion, this big opening. And I think majority of people are so far disconnected right now that they need something like that. So yeah, this is my mission. Obviously, I do think ayahuasca is for everyone, at least once in their life, obviously, unless you're very sick. But after that, followed with a lot of integration and a lot of meditation and a lot of other good things like journaling and psychotherapy. So I think there is a way somewhere in between those three worlds, which is Western psychology, Eastern tradition, and Amazonian traditions, where there's this absolutely perfect healing that works for everyone. I know you don't like that approach, but I do think there's at least a general direction we can figure out. Have you been able to see some parallels between work you did with ayahuasca and some of the Eastern spirituality knowledge? Obviously, you're in India right now.
Yes, I can answer that question. I just wanted to refer to what you said about your father because this is exactly the case with me and my father. I was trying to convince him, and once it almost happened. He was even dieting to prepare for the ceremony, but at the last moment he chickened out and he didn't go, so mission failed. But again, coming back now, why I'm saying it's not for everyone, because not everyone has this karma or will, they not everyone wants to grow or develop or change anything in their life. That's why I'm saying that also. So it potentially is for everyone. I agree with you. It is potentially for everyone, but not everyone, is open or ready for it. So this is one thing. And when it comes to parallels, I see actually a lot. A lot. That's why the vision of the institute is the way it is at the moment. And when we study how people were migrating and what was the story of humanity, and how all the traditions were kind of intertwining with each other, the paths were they were all influencing each other. Like for example, Polish language, it's like Indo-European language. It's not coming from like God, I forgot the name of this language. The most languages now come from it, like French, Spanish, Italian come from Latin. Latin. Sorry, I forgot for a moment. For Latin, so Polish is not coming from Latin, right? It's not also connected with German or with English, but it is connected with Indian, with India, with Sanskrit and with Hindu language. So we all had these influences that we so my observation is that first of all, every tradition is talking about the same thing in a different way, depending on the context. Depending on the context and the culture, it is a little bit different. What I love about India and India traditions and the Tantra is that in this land, the tradition was kept very strongly. It's like with indigenous cultures, and but it was a little bit more, I would say, elevated because it was like a huge country. India always was a huge country, which was abandoned for most of the time, until Englishmen came. It was very, very rich and abundant country. So the fact that there are still teachers and gurus and masters who have kept the tradition, which was, transmitted in a very particular way. And even now, with traditional tantra and the Pidam, the bank, studying up in Sri Vidya Tantra Pidam. in Kerala. It's traditional. It's traditional path. It's not taken out of the context. That someone has suddenly created something out of nowhere, and this is the difference that I see in that way. But on the other hand, the the tradition, for example, in Colombia that I approached in Putumayo Valley, the shaman that I was studying with was the shaman who was, whose father was a shaman, whose grandfather was a shaman, and the tradition was also kept in the same way. So this is the first similarity that I'm seeing. The second thing that I'm seeing is like the ritualistic approach. The ritualistic approach uh, to reality in general, the relationship with elements, the relationships with spirits of the nature, the relationships, and which are called devatas here, right? So it's all the same. It's all the same, but it's just called in a different way. And everyone is drawn to explore their spirituality or develop, as you said, become a hippie, which I don't fully believe, but like, let's say it in a good way, kind of detach ourselves from the system that we are being conditioned into. So now we're hippies, right? Because we said we don't want to live like this. Uh, and explore, where we feel that the path, our personal path lies in, and where our karma is. Because this is again coming back to cause and effect, the decisions that we're making. So yeah, I see a lot of and even in Tantra, that in Tantra, I have to say this because in Tantra, in very advanced tantric techniques, they used ritualistically plant medicines. This is the thing that Tantra is very shamanic in nature, and it's all here. It's all here. This is the beauty of it. But a lot of work. This is what I love. A lot of work in here is done without the medicine. You do develop your practice. You develop your relationship with the nature, with the spirits, with the which basically with the nature, because we're coming back. I'm not going to develop on this because there's a lot to talk about, but so yeah, there is a huge similarity from my perspective, huge. A bit different expression, but still the same but different.
Yeah. Um, Interesting that you mentioned languages because I'm a big fan of languages, and I actually speak one language out of every Indo-European language groups, which is uh, Indo-European languages are split in Romance, which is comes from Latin, Germanic, Slavic, and Baltic. Baltic is only two languages now, Latvian and Lithuanian. Interestingly enough, Baltic languages are the closest living languages to Sanskrit. So, for example, the word in Sanskrit for God is what deva or dieva, and in Latvian it's dievs, or in Lithuanian it's dievas. So yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot. It's those are the closest living. So yeah, it's like somehow languages came and traditions came. I also thought about it. If people that populated uh, Americas came from Asia, obviously there was their Asian Siberian type shamanism, and there's a lot of. It looks very similar. They even look very similar to each other. And my shaman is also, his father is a shaman, their grandfather was a shaman. I think they can count at least 6 generations. So that's really cool. We're so happy. I mean, we're so lucky to have had people that preserve this tradition, because obviously we completely lost ours. So yeah, we're coming closer to an hour mark. So Pauli, thank you for this conversation. I think it was very interesting, and people will find entertainment and learning in it. Where can people find more about you? Let's say we have some Polish listeners that want to come join you in your institute, or anything else.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. I didn't even notice that the hour passed. It was, like outside like this. So if you're interested, and it's not only for Polish people because we're open. The institute is meant to cooperate with people from all over the world. So we're inviting everyone. And the website of institute is healinginstitute.eu because we're based in Europe. at the moment, and this is where the base is, and we will be connecting all this to kind of hopefully do the work that we're here to do. This is the goal.
Thank you, Pauli. Guys, you were listening to Ayahuasca podcast. As always, with you, the host, Sam Believ, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support us and psychedelic renaissance at large, please follow us and leave us a like wherever it is you're listening. Share this episode with someone who will benefit from this information. Nothing in this podcast is intended as medical advice, and it is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This episode is sponsored by La Huayra Ayahuasca Retreat. At La Huayra, we combine affordability, accessibility, and authenticity. La Huayra, connect, heal, grow. Guys, I'm looking forward to hosting you.
Con la vida, vida de la baila, cura con la guaira, limpia, limpia, taita, vibrando con